Well, I'm so excited to be able to do this with you two. We really have the brain trust here, and just wanted to thank you for joining us. Both of you have participated in client-facing webinars and sessions, internal training sessions, and now we have this broader webinar where we get to talk to even more people. So the subject at hand today is a really critical one for our clients, the market in general. Over the last few years, even the original D2C darlings have realized that omni-channel and specifically having a presence and selling on Amazon is critical to their business. Right? Even though the margins may not quite be there, this is a really important step in the buyer journey, and ultimately, a lot of would-be consumers are doing consumer research all over the web, but you just feel more comfortable, more trusting in actually checking out directly on Amazon. So today we're gonna focus our conversation on Amazon posts, Amazon Inspire. We'll get into the social commerce piece, and then we'll talk about PDP optimization, specifically with video, but a few of the pre-submitted questions we're talking about A+ content best practices there. We can absolutely squeeze those subjects in as well. So you go to the next slide. Cool. Our guides for today, I'll just intro myself real quickly and then I'll kick it to you two. I'm Tom Logan, co-founder and CEO here at Coley. And the sort of backstory on Amazon and why it's become such a huge point of emphasis for us is quite simply because it's a huge point of emphasis for our clients, and we're a hell of a lot more successful with our clients in terms of driving strategic, important outcomes when we're working on things, content generation, on strategies that really matter to their business. So generating content for the sake of content, pretty pictures, it's inherently valueless unless it's activated in strategic ways and deployed thoughtfully throughout the consumer journey, because ultimately content is like the connective tissue between a brand and the market and consumers. So joined by the two just incredibly smart thought leaders on the subject. Liz, I'll let you intro yourself. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Liz Welch, Director of Growth Management at Voyager Group. We're a full service commerce agency helping brands launch, grow, and scale on Amazon, Target, both Target Plus and Target Brick and Mortar, and then Walmart Marketplace. Happy to be here. Former Target buyer. And so I was a digital merchant at Target before they combined and had both. So have both the retail side, digital expertise, as well as the Amazon side.
And fresh off of Expo West still.
Fresh off Expo West.
And go ahead and introduce yourself. You're fresh off of South by. You've been on the circuit.
Our feet are sore. That's why we're sitting today. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks so much for having me, Tom and Liz. It's awesome to be doing this together with you. My name is Ann Fishkin. I'm a senior account executive and team lead at Amazon Ads. I also, fun fact, hold the title working with a non-alcoholic company called Absence of Proof. So Liz was just at Expo West and was in all things CPG, which is really fun. So I work with a lot of the CPG brands on that side of my life. And prior to Amazon, I was an ex-hooligan. I liked how you said ex-Target. So ex-hooligan, ex-Disneyan, ex-ABC, ex-Fox, a lot of X's. So big background in digital media and super excited to dig into all things today with Post and Inspire.
Let's do it. Yep. So quick agenda. I kind of already spoiled this big release. But in the words of a CMO that I met with a few weeks ago, the way that she conveyed this to her exec suite and to their internal team is that Amazon has gone social. So we're going to dig into what that actually means. Our big 3 bullet points here are what the heck are Amazon posts and what are best practices to actually get the most out of posts. For the time being, free service. So let's talk about like where those posts actually appear, why followers matter on Amazon, things of that nature. Then we'll get into Inspire. We'll talk social commerce. We'll talk about what it is, where you can find it. In a weird move for a webinar, Ann's actually going to encourage you to bring out your phone, typically a distraction, but I'll let her approach that in the next few slides. And then again, we're going to talk about video content and how video can and should be used on directly on product pages. And we'll have some time for Q&A as well. So go ahead and submit those throughout. And if I don't get to it right away, then we'll have time at the end to get into it. Perfect. Okay. And take us away with posts.
Okay, awesome. So I'd love to see in the chat, if anyone could define what posts are or if they've seen them before within Amazon. Any guess is a good guess. And you can kind of go to the next slide too, Tom, if you want, because we'll get into exactly where they appear in the following slides. So essentially posts have been around for about 4 years. Since I started at Amazon, and we started it as a beta. We're now out of beta and we're still actually a free product, which is amazing. So essentially posts, think of them like images and videos that you would use and leverage for your social offerings. So for TikTok or Instagram or Meta, whatever it might be. And it's a curated way to engage with customers in multiple different places. So if we go to, let's see, organic reach, the version old Amazon IG, posts are attempted IG feed. Yeah, you know what? Kind of similar. And yes, chat is not disabled, Colin. We're seeing that. Great job.
Go ahead and add to the Q&A tab, not the chat tab. Sorry.
Q&A tab. My bad. I'm directing you on the wrong area. So yes, these are all kind of similar. It is sort of an Instagram experience. If you go to the next slide, Tom, we'll chat through where these exactly appear. So it used to be when posts first launched 4 years ago, there was only one area for posts to be, and it was actually on a product detail page, way, way below the product information, the reviews, etc. It was under where an area is called related posts. And that is still an area that your post can appear today. However, we are testing a lot more placement. So there's a lot more opportunities for your brands to show up, including top of search. So you might be searching for a pillow and it could give you a list of related brands. Those are actually posts. And also in the Inspire feed, which we'll dig really deep into today, category feeds. So if you're specifically looking up, hydration or smoothies or baby, whatever it is, it will also show within a category page. And then of course your stores. So if you go to, let's say Yeti's one of my clients, you go to the Yeti store, you do the little three line drop down on the right-hand side. There's all these different sub pages, and there's actually a tab that says posts. So that will be kind of like an evergreen feed, similar to sort of like that Instagram feed that a few of you were mentioning that might live on your store, but it is kind of a different experience. So there's so many different opportunities for posts to appear, and it's all, again, free organic reach. So why should brands be using posts? Really, the reason why is because, a handful of things, but essentially it's free marketing and will help increase engagement and eventually purchase. So the goal with posts isn't necessarily to drive a sale. However, we do actually see that posts do in fact lead to more units purchased if you're leveraging posts. We've also seen a higher order value. So for example, say I see a post of Yeti, I click on that post, it will actually take me to a lifestyle image of the post and then a list of products. I think up to 3 you can have featured on the bottom tile. And a lot of times the customer might say, oh, this is interesting, but I really want to go check out this brand. So then they might tap into your brand store, therefore potentially basket building and adding more products, which then leads to a higher average order value, which is amazing. And then last but not least, add to cart rate. So, we like to say at Amazon, the customer journey, of course, isn't linear. And a lot of times we're cross-comparing products, prices, reviews, etc. So we'll see a lot of add to carts, and then we'll kind of see that funnel down throughout the shopper journey. But again, this also leads to higher add to carts, which is amazing. So all in all, posts are really, really impactful and can help really drive that shopper journey from really content to commerce and drive that purchase eventually. So content, speaking of content, what kind of content works best for posts? So essentially what we recommend, and you could go to the next slide, Tom, is that all of the assets that you're leveraging across Meta, TikTok, any of your social. I was actually listening to the news this morning about X, and I was like, I wonder what kind of content on X you are creating, but maybe it could be, obviously that's an area that Elon Musk is trying to grow. And essentially those assets can be leveraged on posts. So what's nice is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. It's not like you're having to create something brand new every single time. Essentially, you want to marry whatever strategy, recipe that you're doing across your social platforms and put them on posts and put them on that same schedule.
And as of late, for the longest time, this was an image only play.
Yes.
Videos obviously come on strong here.
Yes, thank you for double tapping on that, Tom. So yes, video is brand new. It's actually so new that I personally don't have examples that I can legally share, but I think Liz has some. But yes, we just launched videos just a few months ago. And, the reason for that, of course, is there's like some crazy statistic, right, that shows that 70% of customers would rather watch a video than actually read text. So if we can have that video content, it's going to lead to higher engagement and overall more customer satisfaction. Amazon's really big on our leadership principles, and the number one that we say over and over again across every organization within Amazon is really customer obsession. So we're doing this because it's the feedback that we're seeing in the market, but we're also seeing customers engage more with videos.
Yeah, we have conversations all the time with clients to basically put together content that's specific to and native to certain channels, right? So what works on Instagram doesn't necessarily work on TikTok. What we're saying here with posts is that you can just start experimenting with content that may have been optimized for TikTok, for Meta, for any other social channel, and pulling that in and repurposing it on posts is a totally viable play.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. And Miguel, you asked a good question, like what is each post longevity? It could be forever. I've seen posts show up years later, which is pretty incredible. But as far as frequency, we'll get into that in the next slide. There is a method to the madness as far as like how often you should be posting. And Caroline, your question on videos receiving less views than images for us, this might be, because it's brand new and we're still testing out new placements. But I'd also encourage you to think about maybe the video content that you're using. Does it have product images? Does it have, the brand logo right at the beginning? Is it lifestyle? Are there ASINs tied to it? There's a lot of different things that could be affecting the engagement that we could probably dig into. Awesome. So speaking of, the longevity and how often you should really be posting, we do recommend, and there's a lot on here, so we'll get through it, but we do recommend overall around like 10 times a month. So that's, 2 to 3 times a week or so, really following the same recipe, again, that you're doing with your TikTok, your Instagram, etc. Now, you can post as little as 1 time a month, and you'll still see an engagement and an increase with your traffic. However, that 10 times plus is where we see 154% more followers. So followers, haven't even mentioned it, and it's on this slide 100 times, but followers. So does anyone here, and I guess we have a Q&A, so all good, but does anyone here follow a brand, or Tom and Liz, do you have any brands that you follow that you love?
Yeah, I try to follow all of our clients.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Good. Well, it's important that you do, because following a brand can lead to a lot of different things. So for example, I do the same thing. Like every time I work with a new partner, I follow them immediately, because when that brand, for example, Yeti, releases a new product or has a new, sale happening across the product, I actually get an email through Amazon. They are actually testing out even like texting with some areas. So the reason why followers are so important is because it is a way that you can increase the longevity of working with a customer and really like build that brand loyalty, and you can keep up to date with what they're working on. So when you see a post, right, there's going to be that follow button at the top, and then there'll be the ASINs at the bottom, the products. And you can also follow onto the store. So if you go to any brand store page, there's a follow button right at the top. And a brand can actually track this in their ads console and see how the engagement is increasing. And that ultimately will help kind of build their network, right? Like think of like your LinkedIn or your Instagram following, anything. Like everyone wants to have some sort of following, so that way you can continuously engage those customers. So it's really, really important to continue to build that pool, especially when, right, we all live in this really crowded marketplace where we have thousands of brand messages coming at us every single day. And if we really do love a brand, we want to ensure that we're staying up to date with them. And, as a brand, you're engaging with those customers frequently. You can also send emails too.
I was going to add, and so if you're a registered brand, so you have brand registry, there's a whole console of tools that you can use to remarket your followers. So you can send them customer engagement campaigns, which is essentially email remarketing.
Yes. Yep.
Liz, how else are you positioning followers as this like valuable grouping of folks who've opted in to get updates from you?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the best things about Amazon is your lifetime loyalty. And so if you think about subscribe and save and repeat purchasers, your followers are going to be within that loyal repeat purchase segment. And so the more that you can move them into repeat or a follower, the less likely they're going to be a cart abandoner or an at-risk customer. Not to mention, like, they're following you for a reason. And so you should be hitting them over the head as much as possible to stay top of mind and answering any questions, letting them know about your brand, about your product, how to alleviate any of those hurdles to consume or to purchase products.
And just for people listening, are there other tactics or ways that you've had success with your clients at Voyager in terms of getting more followers, increasing that follower size?
The biggest one is posts by far for getting followers, as well as adding a banner onto your main storefront that has an arrow that says click to follow, because each storefront, that follow button it's static. It's going to be in the same spot for every store. And so it could be missed. It's like kind of light gray with a little plus symbol. And so each of our stores, we add an arrow to say follow us for live updates. Not to mention, Amazon's rolling out new tools for brand tailored promotions. And while followers aren't called out within there, you do know that your followers are within your most loyal segment. And so if you want, you can be providing extra discounts, but the incentive, like, you're wanting to incentivize moving them into subscribe and save to guarantee a sale in the future.
Yep. So followers, we've established, have a ton of values, a variety of different ways that you can interact with them. Once you capture them as the follower, posts are in fact the best way to up follower count.
Yeah. And there's a few questions that have popped up here. So Danielle Esposito, or formerly Molto, asked, so right now videos are only visible on brand stores and they have less engagement. So are there plans to move them into PDPs? From my understanding, Anne, and correct me if I'm wrong, they have started to show up within Inspire. And there is potential for them to show up on the PDPs. I haven't seen or heard anything about them being added to the image carousel, though.
Yeah. Plus one to all of that. The videos will most likely show up in Inspire, which we'll get to very soon. And as far as PDPs, that video placement right now is really owned by sponsored brand video, because we're seeing that be a major growth area for us. So you're going to start seeing a lot of sponsored brand video on top of search, and then also on PDPs.
Perfect. Another
Yeah.
question was, do posts have the capability to schedule? And yes, you can schedule in advance. So I could load 100 posts for a client and set them in advance. And so I know for the next 3 months, I'm set up for that client for their posts.
How
Yeah.
important is that to the beginning of a client relationship for you, Liz?
Sorry, what was that, Tom?
How important is it to develop a post strategy that's consistent and ongoing with a new client you're working with?
It's definitely something that we talk about within our launch. So we have a launch timing and action, and within there, it's establishing posts within those first 8 to 12 weeks. Most clients, we have posts on behalf of the brand because they're going to have their brand voice. They're going to have access to more content that we'll have available. But some of our smaller, more emerging brands, if that's not something that they have staff for, that is something that we can take on for them. Obviously, it takes more collaboration to make sure that everything is approved and is representing their brand appropriately. But it is something that you for sure should establish within your first 8 to 12 weeks of your launch or your relaunch.
Great. Let's
These
see.
are some
Examples?
examples of like what posts can look like, different iterations. I think when we were talking about content that works best, something that is a little bit different from your Instagram channels versus posts is you want to mitigate text on images. So you really don't want to have infographics. Use infographics in your image carousel to tell a story, alleviate. This should really be your inspiring, your storytelling images, as well as like context space. So you can see a wide range here. We've got an interior paint brand. We have gaming chairs, kids kayaks, coffee, but all of them are pulling out a different feature or emotion within their segment. And so I think you really just want a reason to catch the eye of the customer with your posts, and then your copy can give a little bit more context, and then you can tag up to 10 ASINs. And so if you have something that is a similar flavor or a different size or pack configuration that's not in the actual image, you can actually tag up to 10 ASINs in your post.
Great.
So just want to show some pictures there.
Feature or emotion?
Yep.
The guideline there. Perfect. Should we move on to inspire?
Awesome. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay. What you've all been waiting for. So I'm seeing in the chat a few things too. I'll definitely try and, or not the chat, the Q&A, a few questions specifically on kind of like the interactions within social and Amazon's take on that. So we'll definitely get to those. But so for Inspire, so this is brand new. This is a brand new feature within Amazon. And essentially Inspire is a immersive feed of videos, photos. I'd say mostly videos that we're seeing right now that, again, kind of tailored to a brand, a customer, and it's all based on what you're interested in. So Tom mentioned this earlier, but we're actually going to take out our phones. So everyone take out your phone, open up the Amazon app. Right now, it looks like there's a spring sale happening. And the Yeti insulated cup that I'm searching for is on sale, which is great. So if you go to the main homepage, the Inspire tab is the second one over. It's this nice little glittery icon. If you tap that, that will actually take you to the Inspire tab. And everyone's feed could be different. So right now, I'm actually getting a video for an ergonomics office chair because clearly Amazon knows that I'm probably in market for some sort of chair. Liz, Tom, what are you seeing on your feed? I'm curious for your first Inspire feed post.
Oh my gosh, mine is closet organization.
Love it.
Mine is all kids stuff because that's what I buy on Amazon for the most part.
Oh, I love that, right? So clearly it's looking at search trends, what you've bought in the past, if you're in market, what's your lifestyle. And you'll see that you can actually kind of slide over on the bottom and see the actual products that are featured. And I think you can feature up to 10 different ASINs within an Inspire post. You can like it, you can share it, and then kind of swipe through it, which is really cool. So this is like exactly kind of what Inspire is meant to do, right? It's meant to tap your creativity, give you product suggestions that you might have not bought before, right? Like, oh, maybe I do need a new chair. Man, my back is hurting lately. Like maybe I should buy that. So that's really what Inspire is, and it's just getting started. So if we go to the next slide, we talked a little bit earlier about like where posts could show up, and it's important to note that your video posts can show up in Inspire. However, it's not a guarantee. So the way that you want to guarantee that an Inspire, you'll show up in Inspire is actually adding directly to the feed. So when you're on the Inspire tab, you can click create. It's a little plus sign at the top, and you can actually create your own post that will post on Inspire. And then you can tag your products, create different titles, etc. And that will live solely on Inspire when you're creating that post on Inspire. But there is an opportunity again for those posts that in video to be featured in Inspire. They do need to be in a 9:16 video format in vertical to be considered. And videos, of course, drive more customer interactions. So you'll see that, again, while we do allow, I think, some images, like most of what you're going to see in there is video content. So again, this is a great opportunity for you to leverage that same social content that you're already using in TikTok or Reels or whatever it might be, and just repost it within Inspire to drive additional traffic.
And there's a pre-submitted question around how the algorithm works, and I'm not sure that any of us are fully qualified to answer that question, but the question was directed towards like, hey, is it just based on your past purchase history, or is it also based on the items that you're going to, that you're checking out, that you're interacting with? What's been your experience, or what's the narrative from Amazon on that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So Amazon has billions of signals across everything that we own, right? So we know what you're buying at Whole Foods. We know what you're watching on Prime Video. We know what you're searching for on Amazon.com. So all of these signals can then drive this algorithm. So, they could see that I've potentially bought recently a new a new mouse pad, and they could see that I bought dog food. So yesterday I did the same exercise and I was seeing new dog food. So it's anything and everything related to your Amazon experience. It could be something you're watching on Twitch. It could be something that you're searching for. It could be a past purchase. I will say Amazon does do a really good job of sometimes excluding past purchases, because if you just bought dog food yesterday, do you really need to buy it again? Probably not. So if anything, it might show you an ad that's relatable to the category, but it might not actually show you a product that you already bought.
Trying to guess what you're in market for, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So in market segments are typically 7 to 90 days of like what you're shopping for. And lifestyle segments that we call are typically 365 days. So if I'm buying dog food, dog treats, etc., it could, Amazon can safely assume I am a pet owner. So I will maybe get pet content as a true millennial. But great question.
The level of enthusiasm within Amazon about Inspire overall. We're talking about it all the time with our clients and the market in general, as being like, hey, this is the beginning of this new wave of social commerce. Like you have this Godzilla King Kong battle brewing between TikTok shops and Amazon and the social commerce space. At least that's how we see it. Is there quite a bit of enthusiasm behind Inspire and what it could potentially become for Amazon?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think Amazon loves to do this thing. And someone mentioned this in the chat, like, isn't this kind of like a bad experience maybe for customers because TikTok's getting a lot of pushback? But the difference I'd say with a lot of other companies that I've worked for previously in Amazon is that we're constantly getting voice of customer from customers like directly. So I have a client that comes to me and says, this experience is horrible. Can we do something? We actually submit that VOC and then we can change it internally. So yes, I mean, brands are really excited about this because they've been asking us for ways that they can leverage their video content and their lifestyle content. And before, really a few years ago, it was mostly just like product image, title, and like that was it, and then your store. So being able to have posts and Inspire where they can leverage all these assets that we're investing a lot of money in a really great way for free is pretty incredible. So yes, brands are like flocking to this. I will say it's relatively new. We haven't done a bunch of PR behind Inspire. My guess is that Unbox this year, it's going to be a really hot topic. So right now is really a good time to test it before it will be paid, I'm sure, at some point.
Definitely. Yeah. And Liz, I was just going to ask you, are you starting to have conversations with your clients about what paid strategies might look like in the future on Inspire? Or are we still at the point where it's like, hey, let's invest in Inspire. Let's actually get some content up here so we can start to learn.
Right now, it's like, let's test and learn. Let's utilize a free service when Amazon gives you a free service. I mean, there was a good question in the chat around who can post. And so right now, when we're talking about Inspire, it is predominantly creator or influencer or customer based. But like Anne mentioned, if you're logged into your Seller Central account and then you pop over on your mobile, you would have to be logged in on your mobile phone. You could post from your brand login and it could be on Inspire. But right now, where we're leaning in more heavily on Inspire is through influencer partnerships. So it feels more authentic and it's more of a unboxing type experience or reviewing and like highlighting the features and less of like a brand storytelling.
Yep.
But as it starts moving over, I could see Amazon starting to do sponsored for Inspire, so you show up more heavily or earlier on within the algorithm. And that would definitely then be incorporated into our advertising strategy. Another thing I wanted to highlight in terms of the algorithm is in the top right corner, you can also curate the categories that you see in your feed. And so if you don't want to see automotive or something, like I just saw something about like oil cleaner, you can filter all that out. Like I only want to see beauty, baby, and pets. And so then you would not even get things. So like Anne said earlier, Amazon is customer obsessed. And so the algorithm is going to behave where they think what they're showing you is most relevant for you to convert into a purchase. That is their goal ultimately. And so have that in mind as you're having creators make content for Inspire or as you're posting your own content.
Yeah, great question. And it's mobile only. I forgot to mention that for sure. It's only on the app.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, there's a lot of words on this slide, but essentially, right, we've kind of dug into this a little bit, but why really should brands be leveraging Inspire? First and foremost, right, Amazon is massive. 3 out of every 4 people in the United States have Amazon, which is wild, right? That's 75% of the entire country have access to Amazon, whether it's Prime, whether it's Prime Video, whatever it might be. And, for every dollar that's spent on online shopping, Amazon's capturing almost 40% of that, 38 cents of every dollar, which is massive, right? So we all know that. We probably engage with Amazon frequently. I buy, truthfully, I buy my toothpaste on Amazon. I get my groceries delivered from Whole Foods, and it's made our lives, more accessible, and we can get so much done and really like more abundant in so many ways. So it's really about why would you not already leverage all of these assets that you have and engage with the largest really media platform in the country and do it all for free for now, which is really, really incredible. So you have the ability to tap into all these different customers, like really at the right at your fingertips and drive traffic conversions and hopefully long-term brand awareness and long-term loyalty.
Yeah, just to draw a parallel, I think what Amazon has committed to doing, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, is reward early adopters with things like this, with variety of walls and placement. We were going through all of the places that posts can show up. It certainly seems to me like there is an element of rewarding folks who commit to this early on before it actually becomes, a paid, tried and true strategy. So I would say there's like major upside to adopting this now and committing to this now, as opposed to waiting. Take advantage of it while it's free, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like with any Amazon product, when you first are testing it out, you can get so much reach. Like you can get way more. I remember when sponsor brand videos launched and all my partners were seeing like incredible ROAS and traffic because no one really knew about it. And obviously the market shifts around and evens out. But yeah, right now is a good time to get in for sure.
Not totally unlike how I worked at a company right out of college that was doing Facebook promotions, and the obsession back then was with boosting followers because it was a time-based feed. And when you posted on Facebook or Instagram later on, you were reaching really substantial percentages of your follower base. And brands started investing more and more into these actual like social profiles onto their Facebook pages, because they were like, well, this is going to be just as important, if not more important, than our actual website. Obviously, that turned out to not be the case. They needed to monetize this. They changed the algorithm entirely. And those who didn't adopt a content strategy early on within those platforms were kicking themselves. I think this is very similar.
Absolutely. Love it. So testing Inspire, what exactly can you expect, right? And I'm seeing a lot in a little Q&A of feedback on the functionalities and how it's even changing overnight with tagging, et cetera, which is really exciting. So essentially, leveraging Inspire will, as I've mentioned 100 times, it really help increase your traffic, your consideration, your following pool, overall just general reach within the marketplace in a really, really crowded space, right? So we have to be everywhere all the time. So why not show up on literally a tab within Amazon, right? Amazon knows how important that the Inspire is going to be, that they've actually created a full tab. Never seen them do this at all with any type of product.
Valuable real estate right there.
Valuable real estate. You want to know how much a homepage takeover costs? A lot. So essentially, right, you could be that kind of like first video without even doing much. And that it helps and creates, of course, your discoverability, where customers will know about you and your brand, and they will then be able to engage with your brand more frequently and drive some more of that loyalty. Generally speaking, the audience within Inspire, we can't share like exact numbers, but it is quite a bit younger than what we see on just like the main homepage. It's, again, I guess we're kind of tapping into more of like that Gen Z audience who's really video focused and would rather watch a video and is engaging a lot more frequently. And then as Tom mentioned, last but not least, right, your first market, this is a brand new beta. Like right now is the time to really like lean in and test before the market gets really crowded. And truthfully, it might get more expensive over time.
Liz, what do you think changed in the market to preempt Amazon to start investing more into product discoverability? I suppose off of that, you could say like increased cart sizes. Essentially, we're at the opposite end of what it used to be, which was like, hey, fast shipping. The brand itself is Amazon, and this is like a point and click. I'm going to go get one item and check out as fast as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've talked about this offline, Tom, of just TikTok commerce in general, and hashtag TikTok made me do it, or TikTok made me buy it. Like there's entire trends that have been started on TikTok and rabbit holes. And I think Amazon's trying to get a piece of that. They want to be the behemoth in purchasing and in customer discoverability for products. And so I think it was just an easy, we're already selling said product. So now let's find a way to make it discoverable, inspiring, and then purchasable.
And you have any inside information for us, sir?
Not too much. I can disclose. No, but I think ultimately, like what I think is interesting, I remember sitting in on this panel years ago when I was at Hulu, and it was social media team, it was Hulu, it was Netflix, and I think it was gosh, not Peacock, because Peacock didn't exist at that time, but I remember that one of the questions was about trends and how do you as a brand follow trends? And at the time, I remember Netflix answer, and I don't want to speak for them, was, oh, we like to predict the trends. Like we like to create content that we think will resonate, and like we want to make that impact and we want to do something that we think is right. Whereas like Hulu's, it's very similar, I think, to Amazon answer was like, we want to listen to the customer and like get their feedback. And I feel like, again, like that is really the way like Amazon thinks too, is we're garnering feedback and we're looking at market trends and we're seeing what's working. And that's where we lean in. So, right, we're seeing this rise within social. So, and we have all the data, we have all the reach. So why not tap into it ourselves? And why don't we make it super, super accessible for our brands?
Totally. And on the subject of social commerce, I mean, what Amazon brings to the table here is like an immense amount of trust and logistics that have, literally set the standard for what logistics can be. TikTok is bringing, certainly trying to bring a different type of angle. Like, hey, we already have these eyeballs. We have users, 100 million users in the US spending 90 minutes a day on the app. But I mean, they have their own series of challenges too. So fascinating to see how that'll play out and how it'll impact, the way that shoppers ultimately purchase from brands.
Totally.
Laneige, this hydrating lip balm is amazing for anybody who's dry.
They're all playing at once. Okay, but there was a question in the chat around like who is doing it really well right now on Inspire. And what I would say is beauty is definitely at the forefront of really great content. But if you think about TikTok, beauty is also amazing on TikTok. So I think it's one of those that, one, it's a small product, it's a low price point, it's very easy to explain use case. So these are just three examples. Laneige, I would say, is one that does a really good job from an influencer side. So take a look at Laneige. That's like the one that comes to mind right now. But I would just go through and just like spend a good 30 minutes getting deep into your scroll and understand like which ones you felt most emotion towards or the urge to purchase, and then try and emulate that. Yeah.
Oof, minor panic attack there trying to play whack-a-mole in those videos.
Good job. You triaged well.
Yeah, I guess so. Perfect. And then Liz, you and I can talk about our mutual client of ours, Wonderbelly. They have really gone all in on Inspire. They are basically what they do with Coley in collaboration with the Voyager team is to activate creators within the Inspire ecosystem, and have them post. And it's all about like their experience with the product. They give them the opportunity to actually use the product themselves, so they're not just like hawking something that they don't understand the benefits of, so they can speak authentically to the actual product. But I mean, we have a case study coming out on this in the next few days, but I can tell you that the results were awesome. They drove a ton of clicks. There's also this sort of long tail benefit that they're seeing from a purchasing standpoint to what Anne was talking about earlier. It's like posts can live on, content can continue to pop up within Inspire and drive clicks as well. So, if you can just do the math in your head. If you apply a conversion rate that's sort of standard to 60, 100 clicks, it's pretty darn good for them. And
yes,
they're in a competitive space. They're a disruptor, essentially, trying to take share from Pepto and
from Tums. Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, Tums is certainly doing a good job of that, and good example of an early adopter on Inspire.
Absolutely. And one thing I would add is think about the benefit of the branded searches that you're going to drive. So Amazon is a pay-to-play platform. And so in order to get eyeballs, you either need to have branded traffic or paid traffic going to your listings in order to grow your organic rank to then not pay for that placement. The more, and you're always going to have a higher return on your branded traffic because someone is looking specifically for your brand. So if you are getting your brand in front of more potential consumers and they're searching in the search bar using your brand, your advertising dollars are going to go further and you're going to convert at a higher rate. And so I think the halo effect is, of course, you're doing more brand recognition, you're potentially converting someone directly on this, but you're also driving more profitable traffic to your listings.
Yeah. And the three of us talked in our pre-call about this concept of like defending your real estate in terms of like where people show up on competitors' pages who may be neglecting video content or fighting this trend towards Amazon going more social. Have you seen examples of that, Liz?
Yeah, posts is going to, outside of competitor conquesting using advertising, post is going to be your best place to start showing up on competitor pages of a relevant or similar product. I haven't seen Inspire do that yet, but that's not to say that that's not going to come. I mean, Anne, I'm sure you can speak to that. Amazon is testing new placements for Post and Inspire every single day. So I would not put it past them to start adding a section on competitor products if it's a similar category. But right now, Post would be my recommendation if you're trying to show up on a competitor page for free.
Yeah, totally. If you go to pretty much any brands like that below the full placement, it's never that brand. It's always competitors that are showing up there. So absolutely. And yeah, I just want to double tap with like it's such a important thing to call out with searching for the brand title, because typically there's like 3 to 7 searches from a customer before they actually make that purchase. So if you're going in and you're typing in, Pepto or antacid or whatever it is, like you're going to probably choose on whatever's like right there. Whereas if you're typing in like Wonder Belly, like for stomach support or whatever it is, you actually, kind of what you want. And if you're seeing that brand and that product right there, you're going to buy it, you're going to engage with it. So long-term, it will save you a lot of money by just ensuring that you have like that brand title in the search. So yeah, and I wish I had this last weekend for Austin, y'all. I truly do. I needed it from all the talk.
It's a great product.
Yeah. This brand is also such a good example of like a social brand that can win in this context. Their CMO comes from this Eric Ryan tree. He was the one who introduced Method and Welly and some other brands that have really challenged like traditional categories that weren't investing much in brand and storytelling. So this is very consistent with their overall ethos.
Love it.
Anne.
Yeah. Well, yes, I know we've gone through quite a lot of Inspire versus Post, but to simplify it, think Inspire is for creators, Posts are for brands. So when you're thinking about working with, different creators, think of working with them within Inspire, so then they can leverage that feed for you, and Posts you can create as a brand within that ads console. So the TLDR.
And I'll take this one. So talking about optimizing product pages with video. So we have a stat here on the left. On average, the conversion rate of product pages goes way up, 68% at least, when you actually have user-generated video. It's funny. I think really like what we talk about quite often with clients over here is, the videos on product pages should be informational and confidence inducing to the actual consumer. So once you've worked so hard to get them onto the actual product page, say you've allocated a bunch of funds to retail media, or you've driven traffic from paid search or paid social to actually get someone on a product page, you need to give them the information and confidence that they're looking for to ultimately convert on the page or on the actual product. And what videos do is they increase confidence. They convey information. And oftentimes when we talk about video content and what those videos should include directly when they're included on a product page, it's less of the aspirational, get ready with me type of thing. And it's where the product is almost just, naturally kind of baked into their morning. This is more like, hey, this is why I purchased this product. This is how I use it. This is the utility that I've gained from it. And, oftentimes the reviews, they don't necessarily need to be like overly perfectly polished or even perfect reviews about the product. It's okay if there was a learning curve around cleaning it, or if something wasn't perfectly ideal. I wish I'd gotten a size larger in this coat. That's okay. That's conveying information to a buyer and giving them and arming them with what they need to actually make a purchase. And what I'll hit on, which I think is just one of my favorite strategies right now, one that we recommend constantly, is to actually reference the AI review summaries, which I am obsessed with. Like, credit to Amazon for innovating on this and introducing it. Sometimes you don't want to actually go through reading 1,300 reviews, almost 1,400 reviews on a specific blood pressure reader from Braun, a client of ours. But the synopsis is great, and I actually really like that it hits on, okay, some customers have reported issues with error messages or accuracy. What that gives us ammo to do is to actually create videos with our creator network that speak to those pushbacks and help assuage potential concerns. So other concerns might be like, hey, this product was hard to clean. You realize okay, well, that's actually just that's a user error item. Let's actually create videos that show how to properly clean the product. Or, in this instance with this blood pressure reader from Braun, highlight how easy it is to use, walk people through the actual setup process, and try to convey that readability on screen is doable. Obviously, if it's so bad that it continues to come up, take that information to your product team and look at ways to improve the actual product and listen to the voice of the shopper. But if it's something that you feel like can be addressed, or an objection that can be answered in an actual video, take the opportunity to do that. It's the opposite of just trying to suppress bad reviews or sweep something under the rug. It's actually giving a customer who might be reading this synopsis or specific reviews that hit on, accuracy concerns, actually going ahead and addressing it, so that, rather than bail on the page, that consumer actually has their answers, addressed, or their questions addressed, and ultimately converts instead of bailing, which is huge. Okay, we have a few minutes for Q&A, not as long as I had imagined, but we covered a lot of great stuff, so I'm not totally surprised. Let's see. Did you all notice anything in the Q&A that you thought would be worth covering that you haven't already?
Yeah, there's quite a bit in there. I'm just reading through. One of the questions was, can you tailor tags that show up at the bottom of your posts? So those tags are generated automatically. So if you're seeing tags are assigned to your products that aren't related, I would definitely dig into the back end of why that might be. Or do you have some keywords in the back end that maybe aren't applicable because you're trying to get search volume for them? I would definitely look at the back end of your listing to make sure that everything is actually appropriate, but those are assigned by Amazon as of right now.
Afton mentioned that Inspire's terms of service mentioned that they don't allow content if its main purpose is to promote a company or website. What would the response to that be, Anne?
Yeah, let's see. Essentially, that's an interesting question. So is this on Amazon's or this is on Coley's? Where's this question?
This is Inspire's terms of service, but
I think it's when it's talking about off platform. So you're not allowed to talk and ask them to go away from Amazon. So you can't say go to this brand's website. You can't be saying you can be talking about a product that's by a brand, but you can't say visit this brand's website for 20% off your blah blah blah.
Yeah, that probably is you probably nailed it on the head, Liz. Sorry, I couldn't find the open question in there, but essentially we do, I also want to be clear, we have another program we have called Creator Connections that you can actually post on TikTok, but it has to drive to Amazon. So essentially, right, there are so many other ad products within Amazon that we can drive directly to the store, but Inspire and Post, it's in the feed. you're already there. So why would we try and make you go somewhere else to buy the product? So yeah, I think there's just, you have to work really closely with your brand partners on like specific language. There's certain things that you're not able to say in some videos, right? And we want to make sure that we have like legal content that's being produced. So I would just work really closely with your brand partners and ensure, to Liz's point, that the destination is within Amazon.
Let's see. Any other questions catch your eyes?
It was a similar question to posts, and I truly don't know the answer to this of like how long content will stay on Inspire. I would think until you archive the post or the influencer archives the post, but you're not going to necessarily see, it's going to be more time-based relevancy versus posts might float about in the abyss for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like how your posts like could live for years if you want them to, because your video post could technically show up on Inspire if it's in that 9:16 video format. I think that was your question, Janice. What does the format need to be? So yeah, it could live pretty much whenever. Think about it like your TikTok. I actually had a TikTok go viral in December, and I still have friends who are seeing it, and it's March, right? So it could live for 6 months after, and who knows how long. It's so new that we're probably testing out. As long as it's driving engagement, my guess is we'll keep it live. But as soon as it kind of gets stale, we'll refresh the feed.
Yep, great point. Cool. Just some housekeeping here. We'll send a follow-up email with opportunities to get in touch. I'll bring up contact information for these two lovely ladies in a minute. And yeah, I mean, I think the TLDR in terms of getting content, if you're a current client of Coley, utilize the content that you already have within your content libraries, within posts, and get on that right now. Start activating creators. We can on Inspire. We can absolutely support that initiative. It's one of our favorite brief types right now. And again, the results are real there. In terms of getting in touch with these two, Anne's been a little mysterious, did not add her email address. I'm just kidding.
I can add it in.
Okay, we can call it out and we'll include it in our follow-up information. But Anne, you're fantastic. Thank you for all of your thought leadership on this, and thanks for just going above and beyond. I mean, it's such an awesome partner to us. Liz and the Voyager Group, just our favorite agency partner in the game, just incredibly smart. Again, everyone there worked within the space, either at Target, Amazon, Walmart, just bona fide experts. So if you have any questions whatsoever about best practices on Amazon or any of these other retailers that I'd mentioned, I'd certainly encourage you to get in touch. They are amazing. I think we can wrap with this beautiful thank you slide. You
Thanks,
both.
everyone.
Thank you to everyone for joining.
Yeah, thanks for being so engaging, everybody. It was a really
Yeah. Loved all the questions. It was awesome. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks so much, team.